Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Diane's been working with buyers and sellers in the Missoula market for over 25 years. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO.
Well, thank you as always for joining us on Missoula Real Estate Today as we continue our series, if you will, on community awareness organizations, nonprofits, a lot of great people like that we've had in the studio. And this week it is Peggy Schmidt. Peggy is the Senior Community Health Specialist and 5210 Let's Move Missoula coordinator. We'll talk about that quite a bit this morning from the City County Health Department. Welcome to the show, Peggy.
Well, thanks, Denny.
I'm glad you could make it in. We got to do the get acquainted, of course. What are the, I assume, many duties of Missoula's Senior Community Health Specialist?
Oh, well, first I want to say thanks so much for having me in. And then,
of course.
I work with the steering committee to be part of a team effort and kind of a big partnership of a lot of different groups. One of the things I do with their guidance is I create a calendar of free and low-cost activities in the Missoula area. Everything on the calendar is either free or $5 per person or less.
Great.
So that I create that every month. And in the calendar, I incorporate a lot of nutrition information and nutrition resources as well. And I'm always looking to expand the reach of those calendars and get them out to more people.
Right.
Another thing I do is I act as a liaison between the 5 different partners that put on an active recess program at three local schools. It's called Midday Move. So I coordinate, I act as liaison between those partners. We put that program on 3 days a week, all school year long. And then this past spring, I conducted surveys, gathered data, did a little pilot study with some nursing students to evaluate whether that Midday Move program is effective, whether it really works to get kids more active. That took a lot of time. Let's see. I coordinate logistics.
Can I interrupt you and ask how you're doing on it? What were your findings?
It is effective. 13% more kids are active on the playground when the program's going. Yeah, because the volunteers pull kids in and pull in those wildflowers.
That's not a bad little bump. 13%. I bet you're happy with that.
Yeah. Teachers were happy with it. Fewer behavior problems, so that was good. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. I'm coordinating logistics for the Lowell after-school kids. There's an after-school program at Lowell School right here in town. Mm-hmm. Each of those kiddos, grades 1 through 5, is going to get to visit the library, the Missoula Public Library, 3 times each, to learn about science activities and cooking activities. They have a cooking class and all kinds of fun stuff.
Doesn't the library just amaze you? I'm sure you're close, but we will do public service campaigns for the library about maybe some event they've got going, even if it's something like their Lego tournaments or some of the science things they do. Yeah. But it never ceases to amaze me how many opportunities there are. You think of the library, I'm going to go pull a book off a shelf. There's just so much more. It's pretty cool.
Incredible. It's no wonder they won that
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, it's all good. It's cool. They won that big award.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. So I coordinate, logistics for that, for getting those little kids over to the library 3 times each. I create a media plan and a social media plan. I maintain a website. I have an affiliate program for local organizations and businesses. So far, just organizations. I don't have any actual businesses yet.
All right.
But we're working on it. I host booths at public events to build our mailing list. Yeah, stuff like that.
I'm honored that you could find 30 minutes for me with a schedule like that. What led you to choose this career path and how you found your way to your current position?
Well, it ties right into my interests. I've always loved to be physically active. And I'm active at my local community garden there by the University Golf Course. And I've been a gardener my whole adult life. So I really enjoy raising some of my own healthy foods.
Cool.
And like a lot of teachers, I've found a new career path, former teachers. So this came open and it seemed like a perfect fit.
Yeah.
So and being a former teacher gave me a lot of the skills I needed for the job. Because even though we try to serve every age group in Missoula, a lot of our projects tend to focus on kids.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. My guest, Peggy Schmidt, Senior Community Health Specialist and the 5210 Let's Move Missoula Coordinator with the City County Health Department. What is 5210, Peggy? 5210 Let's Move Missoula. And I think there's an exclamation point in there somewhere, too. What makes it an important community initiative?
Well, I'll tell you, it's 5210 mobilizes projects and partnerships that build healthy kids and residents of all ages, no matter where they live or work or play or learn.
Sure.
And the projects focus on creating access to physical activity and nutrition with social support. And it's operated in partnership, by the way, with United Way. They're a major partner of Let's Move, and they provide financial support, graphic design support, and they play a real active role on our steering committee. So it's important because it improving the health of our community benefits everyone.
Yeah.
We all, a rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's important because physical activity and nutrition are so closely tied to health for all ages and academic success for youth.
Good.
So, yeah.
And this is a national initiative. About how long has it been around?
Since about 2010.
All right.
It was started by First Lady Michelle Obama. She launched the initiative in 2010. So, yeah.
All right. Is it common for other city, county health departments around the country to take the lead on an initiative like this?
Yeah.
If yes, why? If not, why not?
Sure. Well, a lot of communities across the country have Let's Move initiatives. And 1 in 4 Americans, about 81 million people, have benefited thanks to more than 520 different local elected officials that have committed to the program.
Okay.
But in Montana, we have a unique partnership here, having a Let's Move initiative. But there's tons of other cool stuff going on. Everyone has different names for their initiatives and their cool programs. Harvest of the Month or Montana Farm to School. There's all kinds of neat stuff going on all around the state. But Let's Move is a unique partnership here.
Well, the numbers themselves. How are guidelines set for the 5-2-1-0? Why 5 fruits and vegetables, 2 hour screen, etc.?
Yeah. Well, let me tell you. So, let me just, before I answer that, let's talk about what each of the numbers stand for. You mentioned the 5 fruits and vegetables per day, trying for 2 hours or less of recreational screen time.
Yeah.
Because in our jobs, even in kids in schools these days, have a lot of screen time.
Oh, sure.
But as far as that extra screen time in the evening or outside of your workday or your school day, aiming for 2 hours or less of fun screen time. 1 hour of hard play or physical activity.
Okay.
And then the 0 stands for trying for, 0 sugary drinks, aiming for 0 sugary drinks in a day. So, it's a good goal, and we try our best. But, everyone likes a decaf mocha now and then, once in a blue moon. But anyway.
Decaf.
Yeah, that's what I like. But anyway, so where did those numbers come from? We borrowed them from Let's Go Maine, the state of Maine, with their permission. Originally, it came from researchers at Penn State. And it's endorsed by the American Academy of Pediatrics.
Okay, all right.
Research-based.
And when you talk about the screen time and you say limited 2 hour screen time, I'm sure a lot of our listeners is thinking, oh, gee whiz, all those kids that are spending all those time on the screen. It's not just kids, is it? That's
grown-ups too. We spend so much of our working life, a lot of us, on a screen.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Let's talk about the recreational screen time. We can't help it if we have to spend our workday on a screen,
of course,
right?
Yeah.
But the time outside of work or outside of school.
Yeah. You're talking about when Denny sneaks into his office and plays word chums and things like that he shouldn't be doing during the workday. Do you think, I thought about this for a little bit, do you think it's easier to get parents to lead by example, or have you found reaching kids in school and getting them excited about it, that can trickle up to the parents? Not peer pressure,
right?
But
No, the second one for sure, right? I mean, we all remember those anti-littering programs. At least, okay, I'm of an age that I remember the anti-littering programs and how well that trickled up to the parents, or anti-smoking programs. I remember I was on my parents' case, I think it trickles up a lot better. And research shows that if you can catch kids when they're young and instill these habits when they're very young, ages 0 to 5 or 2 to 5, that really has a huge impact on them the rest of their lives.
Awesome. Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO. My guest is Peggy Schmidt. Peggy is the Senior Community Health Specialist and 5210 Let's Move Missoula Coordinator with the City Health Department here in Missoula. As the City County Health Department, Peggy, are you promoting positive lifestyle choices for children and adults? But how do you mentioned a 13 percentile increase in some participation, but how do you measure how successful things have been so far?
Yeah, well, overall, big picture, from 2011 to 2018, we would go into the schools and take a survey of kids' body mass index. And so kind of their height to weight ratio.
Right.
And that showed some decrease. There was decrease in body mass index rates among those third graders in between the years of 2011 to 2017. But now we're transitioning away from body mass index testing. We're looking at other ways, new ways of measuring success, such as participation in physical activity, number of minutes per day during the school day, or from the time kids get to school to the time they leave to go home at night. Participation in school meals, that kind of thing. Because we want to be aware of weight bias, weight stigma, body size stigma, and be aware of health equity issues. So it's a golden opportunity kind of here post-COVID to move into a new way of measuring success.
And do you feel this is a better way? Why was the decision made to move away from that platform, body mass indexing?
Yeah, well, partly the weight stigma. It can be kind of, doesn't feel so hot when somebody comes in maybe and checks your body mass index.
Yeah.
What if your body mass index is a little high? Plus, some people have more muscle mass, and so it's not as accurate of a measure as some other things. If you have a lot of muscle mass, it's just not as accurate. In addition, you can carry a little extra weight and be healthy, and you can be underweight and be unhealthy. It's just not the best, most up to date. Science. We're moving on, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it just sounds like it didn't take things far enough, right?
Yeah.
Is that a fair assessment
Sure.
of why we might move on from something like that?
Right. And there's a lot of other things we can measure that are tied to health, like minutes of physical activity or participation in school lunches, that kind of thing, sleep, all kinds of things.
Well, let's talk a little bit about researching childhood obesity, Peggy, health disparities and barriers to health within our community. What do you find especially alarming in Missoula and on the other side of the coin? What are some of the positives? But first, what kind of concerns you right now?
Yeah, you bet. Well, in general, this is nationwide. I have one nationwide and one from Missoula. But nationwide, a third of the kids born after the year 2000 will be affected by diabetes or some other, obesity-related health issue. So that's an alarming trend.
Yeah.
But locally, studies were done, those studies between 2011 and 2018, we found here in Missoula that kids in low-wealth neighborhoods were shown to have higher rates of conditions associated with health risks than kids in high-wealth neighborhoods. So it was a major contrast.
Yeah.
Between the low-wealth and the high-wealth neighborhoods as far as the rates of those conditions. So those were the alarming statistics.
Yeah.
As far as positives, though, all kids across the nation got all grades, kindergarten through 12, all across the country got free school lunches during the pandemic for 2 school years. So universal free school lunches was a big plus. We're trying to get that back reinstated locally, statewide. There's efforts to get that back nationwide. But we're working on that. All kinds of people are working on that initiative. But here, right in Missoula, right now, all K through 8 students in Missoula County Public Schools get free breakfast. So that's a plus.
So get the day off to a good start.
Yeah,
for
they
sure.
get the day off to a good start in K through 8 in Missoula County Public Schools. So that's a huge positive. And other positives, programs like Midday Move, looking to expand to other schools, is one of our goals with help from United Way and with help from our volunteers. And plus, another positive thing is there are so many great organizations in Missoula all pulling together to work on these kinds of issues. There's just a ton of great organizations based here in Missoula that are doing great work.
Yeah. Maybe feel free to name a couple of you.
We talked about the library, the United Way, the Missoula Food Bank and Community Center.
There we go.
They're a great new facility out there. The YWCA, the YMCA, Missoula Parks and Recreation has a ton of great initiatives, and their cooperation with Lowell School and their neighborhood center there. Boys and Girls Club, Friends of the Children. It just goes on and on. There's so many great groups.
Absolutely.
Doing good work.
And you've talked a lot about the research and some of the findings so far that we've been visiting here. And other ways, how does research help you devise strategies to try to improve not just kids, but everybody's health?
You bet. Well, one thing, let's see, starting with kids, I guess. Sorry, that's what I know the most about.
Oh, quite all right, sure.
That free school meals, research shows us that free school meals for kids has a huge impact on their health and their academic success. that's why I'm helping to publicize, like on my Facebook page or, on my website, efforts to reinstate universal free school meals. I'm publicizing how families who qualify can sign up for free and reduced meals at school, free and reduced cost meals. And in the past, Let's Move has advocated for breakfast in the classroom for all kids. Now, like I said, in MCPS, that has happened for all K through 8 kids. Then next, research has shown us how physical activity is tied to academic success. Our own Steve Gaskell here in Missoula at the University of Montana did a study in 2008 showing how their academic success was tied to their physical activity.
Yeah.
And just as an aside, it's also tied, physical activity helps lower ADHD, depression, anxiety, oppositional defiant disorder, or diagnosis. These are all improved by regular physical activity. So that's a big reason why we focus on things that get kids more physical activity, like Midday Move. Now, separately, the 0 to 5 initiative, part of the United Way, they found locally that kids whose families access things like parks, museums, libraries, have better kindergarten readiness. They're more ready to enter kindergarten, ready to learn. And that kindergarten readiness is tied to better health outcomes later in life. So if we can get families access to these resources, parks, museums, libraries, things like that, then that will help kids' health later on in life. So that's one more reason we publish this calendar of free and low-cost activities and try to get it out to as many people as we can.
Right, yeah.
A local study found that as kids move into the upper grades, especially high school, they get less and less physical activity every year during their day, from the time they get to school until the time they get home. Less and less every year as they go up in the grades, even though, like I said, is tied to physical tied to academic success. So that's a goal of my program. I haven't gotten to do it much yet, but I'm to work more with teens, and adults. So anyway,
I wanted to back up a little bit to the free school lunch program. That's and you said kids that qualify. Are they in your mind? Are they pretty reasonable qualifications?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not super difficult to qualify. In my mind, that's what it should be. It should be very reasonable, and try to open that to as many as possible. Do you feel pretty good about where that is?
I do. I feel like it's surprisingly not that difficult to qualify. The income guidelines are not that strict. It's hard though. It's hard for people to ask for help sometimes.
Oh, of course,
and to apply, do that application. To get free or reduced school lunches, but keep in mind that they're helping their entire school. Because if you get a certain percentage of kids in a school who qualify, then at some point it kicks in a program where every kid in the whole school gets free and reduced school lunches.
Yeah.
Like one of the schools where I used to work, they had a high enough percentage that, they said, never mind, it's too much paperwork for this, whatever, 9% of kids that don't qualify. It's not even worth it for us to collect the money from those 9% of kids, whatever. We're just going to give it free to everybody. And it saves us time and hassle and paperwork, saves money in the end, actually, when you have that small a number of kids that don't qualify.
Oh, yeah.
So if you fill out the paperwork, your school may qualify for everybody to get free and reduced lunches, so you can be helping your community.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, here on News Talk KGVO. My guest, Peggy Schmidt. Peggy is Senior Community Health Specialist and 5210 Let's Move Missoula Coordinator with the City County Health Department. Also wanted to say thank you to some of Diane's marketing partners that help bring you this show every week. Miles Link at Opportunity Bank of Montana, Rob Fleming with Man Mortgage, and Carol Blodgett at MakeItMissoula.com. Back to Peggy Schmidt here. I was thinking about this question when you were talking about kids' activities, and they bring home these ideas. What would you say to, if you were presenting this to a couple of parents, and they say, well, yeah, this is all great, but you know what? I work a 10-hour day. My spouse works a 10-hour day, both of us, and we're still barely making things meet. And I know it's not right, but at the end of those kinds of days, we're just gassed, and I'm not calling it calling it neglect. I'm just saying, we don't have a lot of energy left to participate in some of the things that the kids might need to do or want to do. What words of encouragement can you offer people like that?
Total sense. After a 10-hour day, who would want to go out? That makes complete, absolute sense. So that's why we work really hard. I would say don't worry. Well, okay, not that you don't have to worry at all, but you know what I mean? What the goal of Let's Move and a lot of agencies is to make sure that kids get what they need, as far as the number of minutes of physical activity and healthy, at least 2 solid healthy meals between the hours when they arrive at school and when they leave. They're like Lowell School here in town has an after-school program, and they even have evening programs, so that when you get home from that day,
programs.
They do. Yeah, they started some evening programs
Awesome.
over there at Lowell. Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah. So when you get home, then you've got your physical activity done. You've got 2 square meals under your belt. You don't have to say, "Oh, darn, we have to go out and exercise for 15 minutes." No, that's been done during the hours from when they get to school to when they leave. That's been done from when they get to school to when they left. Good. They got their 60 minutes in. So that's the goal, and that's what we're working on.
All right. Hopefully, we have some listeners out here who might qualify as affiliates. Tell us about Let's Move Missoula affiliates. What is their commitment to helping you champion healthy options? And if possible, hopefully you can identify a number of them that our audience might recognize by name if you choose to do so. But tell us about the affiliates. Absolutely.
Well, we have 7 affiliates. They agreed to be on our Teen Bingo Challenge that we piloted last summer. Teens from the Upward Bound program at university did a bingo challenge, and they were on like to ride the bus to the library or go to the art museum and check out this or. So they agreed to be on the bingo challenge, and they had other criteria they had to agree to. Things like having a worksite wellness program, being a breastfeeding-friendly organization, offering free drinking water at public events, encouraging healthy transport to their location or non-food prizes for any contests, that sort of thing. So our 7 affiliates are Mountain Line Transit, Missoula Public Library, Missoula Parks and Recreation, the Downtown Missoula Partnership, Missoula Art Museum, Zootown Arts Community Center, and the TRIO Upward Bound program on the U of M campus.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You got them all in there. That's good. And what has your team been doing to create the affiliate awareness? And has that, it sounds like it's been pretty well received so far, but you'd always welcome more. What do you do to try to increase or maintain that awareness?
Sure. Well, we had some radio advertising thanking our affiliates. Yeah.
Yay Radio.
Yep. Yay Radio. And, we send them posters and window clings and things so they can help us advertise. Yeah.
All right. I always like to ask my guests about success stories, any programs or feedback from the community, et cetera, things like that you have found particularly rewarding in your position.
You bet. Well, the calendars of free and low-cost activities have been really well received. They've gotten a lot of positive feedback from various organizations around town, Job Service, Partnership Health, the Pre-Release Center, early childhood programs, individuals. A lot of doctors and dentist offices post them in their exam rooms or in their waiting rooms.
Right.
So that's gotten good feedback. And then the Midday Move program, which I want to put in a plug for.
Yeah, let's talk about that since you brought that up. I was going to ask you anyway. Let's do a little deeper dive on the Midday Move.
Sure. Well, it happens 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at 3 local schools. We are hoping to expand it in the future, but right now it's at Lowell, Hawthorne, and Russell schools here in Missoula. It's during lunch recess, and the regular duty aides and volunteer supervisors are present on the playground. So the volunteers don't have to deal with discipline or, any kind of major issues like that. They get to simply engage in play with kids. They have to pass a background check, an easy, inexpensive online background check. But if they pass that check, we welcome them with open arms, and they get to just play with kids. You can swing a jump rope, throw a Frisbee, shoot a hoop, shoot hoops, whatever fits the volunteer's abilities and the interests of the volunteer and the kids.
Yeah.
And it's got to be the most fun volunteer job in town. And you can sign up for 1 day a week or just try one time, see if you like it, or be a regular all school year long, everything or anything in between. It goes all school year.
Yeah.
We're looking for a fresh batch of volunteers because most of our volunteers in the past have been university students, and so in between semesters, we think, my goodness, we need some non-students as well who are available during those times when the semester is not in session. So we welcome university students or anyone else, community individuals. Don't have to be a student, just anybody. We'll take you.
You are in 3 schools.
Yeah.
Obviously, you'd like to be in more schools. What is it? The foundation. What does it take for your team to get started? What would you need to say get into a 4th school in the next week or 2 or however long it takes?
More volunteers and more funding. And the United Way of Missoula County has been super generous in funding this program for us. They're one of my major partners.
Yeah.
They pay for some supplies, safety vests and that kind of thing, but also a volunteer supervisor that supervises. Well, one supervises Lowell and Hawthorne, and one supervises Russell. Again, to make it so those volunteers get to just play. So money you can donate to United Way and earmark it for the Midday Move program on their drop-down menu. So money and volunteers, basically.
Yeah. Do you have other things that you need volunteers for? Is it primarily focused on the?
That's the main one.
On the midday
sometimes
move?
I'll hold a booth at a public event, and sometimes it'd be nice to have a volunteer to help at a booth, say down at the Roots Festival or out at Sunday Streets or whatever. But the ongoing need is. And
when we get back to the breakfast and lunch programs that you offer, obviously you're not serving up junk food. You've got to have somebody, a nutritionist that kind of oversees and we make sure that food is available at the schools. Who's in charge of all of that? How does it get from say a distributor point or a store into the schools? And somebody's got to be making sure quality control, right? That all is what it should be there.
Yeah, I think each school district has a food service director, and they're really in charge of that. And a lot of schools have really cool farm to school programs now. Missoula County Public Schools, Target Range School. I know a lot of local ones have neat farm to school programs as well, benefiting local agriculture and serving healthy kids, and even sometimes teaching the high school kids how to raise beef or how to do that sort of the ag end of raising food. So there's a lot of neat programs. But food service directors.
I once I found out you were coming in, I was kind of doing a little prep and research, so I found my way around your website. Give us it's quite interesting. There's a lot of fun tabs on there, but give us a radio tour of your website, Peggy.
Ooh, let's see. There's how to sign up for Midday Move. There's info for families on how to sign up for free and reduced school lunches.
Right.
There's some data and research articles. There's a little training video for Midday Move volunteers.
Okay.
Though it explains the 5210 and what that stands for. That's an important aspect. A little history of the organization, stuff like that.
I failed to give the web address yet.
Oh, yeah. That is www.5210letsmovemissoula.org.
Okay.
It's all spelled out.
Yeah. You don't have to put the exclamation point in there.
Nope. 5210letsmovemissoula.org.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate, and my guest Peggy Schmidt, Senior Community Health Specialist and 5210 Let's Move Missoula Coordinator with the City County Health Department. Anything, Peggy, here in the final minute, anything that I missed that you'd scold me about if we didn't cover it? So any parting thoughts or...
Just want to thank United Way again for their financial support and graphic design support. They play an active role in my steering committee. And if people do want to volunteer for Midday Move, they can go to my website or email me directly, and my email address is on the website.
About how many volunteers do you have now? I mean, what does it take to get one school up and running?
About 5.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
All right. Well, that's a reasonable number.
Yeah, per school, give or take.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Peggy Schmidt, Senior Community Health Specialist and 5210 Let's Move Missoula Coordinator with the City County Health Department here in Missoula, has been my guest this week on Missoula Real Estate Today. I appreciate you coming in.
Well, thank you, Denny. I appreciate you having me in.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@windermere.com, or for a complete directory of Diane's listings, visit movetomissoula.com. That's move2 Missoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today. Get the latest on University of Montana Grizz and Lady Grizz basketball with the head coaches every Tuesday. The Grizzly Basketball Coaches shows are live during the noon hour Tuesdays at Finn inside the Doubletree Hotel, featuring Grizz head coach Travis DeCure from 12 to 12:30 and Lady Grizz head coach Brian Holsinger from 12:30 to 1. If you can't make it to the noon hour shows at Finn, you can catch the recorded replay starting at 6 p.m. Tuesday nights on News Talk KGVO, FM 98.3 and AM 1290, and on your free KGVO mobile app.